Oh, Piper sent me a voicemail. I wonder what she said.
Hey, did you hear that Madeline just got attacked by bears? Even though, do we even have bears at Texas? Uh, do we? I don't even know. 1830 was a time during the Americans when slavery was used in the South to help with production, plantains, and servants to the many farmers and affluent people. Later, reform was happening, led people to ask for a change in many ways, including slavery. People around were telling their opinions, and the slaves wanted to fight for the change of their lives and future. Abolitionists started to talk around, and everybody started to change their minds about the whites and how they treated slavery, enslaved people, and how cruel the system is. Even enslaved people started to break free from their prisons and told gruesome stories about how bad their lives were as a slave person.
Madeline got attacked by bears? That's weird. I hope we can finish this podcast in time. I might as well start on my part. Obviously, I'm going to talk about Frederick Douglass. He's the father of activism. This is the life story of Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was born into slavery in 1818, and he never knew his mother. At the age of 8, he was sent to Baltimore, Maryland, to live in the household of Hugh Auld, whose wife taught him how to read. On September 3, 1838, after many failed attempts, Frederick Douglass escaped slavery by train and boat from Baltimore to New York. In 1841, Douglass attended an anti-slavery convention and was asked to recount his experience as a slave. The audience's reception moved him so much that he became a member of the Massachusetts Anti-Slavery Society. Douglass would attend abolitionist meetings and speak about his experiences, earning him the title of orator. In 1845, Frederick Douglass wrote his first autobiography, The Narrative of Frederick Douglass's Life, an American Slave, which spoke about his experiences and the abuse he had endured, which allowed for white folk to empathize with Douglass and his battles as a slave. But Frederick Douglass was not only an advocate for the abolishment of slavery, but an advocate for women's rights. Attending multiple women's advocacy conventions, he was one of the few men who would stand with the women who were using their voices to better their own and many other women's futures. After speaking at a local women's convention, he passed away on February 20th, 1895, in his mansion in Washington, D.C. Even after his death, Frederick Douglass's actions, words, and books have impacted the United States and continue to inspire people who face discrimination to use their voices to fight for themselves and their rights.
Today I'll be talking about David Walker, which out of everybody we're talking about today was the only freed black person from the very start of his birth. He was born in 1796, with his mother being free and his father being enslaved. The only reason why is because in America they follow this law, which is originated in French, translated to follow the womb, which means the children will adopt the mother is considered as or is as in whatever religion or what type of ethnic group it's by. She grew up, witnessed racism, and heard everything about slavery. All the deep, gruesome parts about it too. When it hit 1825, he decided to move out and settle into Boston with his wife, Eliza Butler, and had 2 children around that time too. Around 1830, everybody knows when the reform started. So everyone began to rise against everybody decided to go against slavery and wanted to abolish it. With that, he also decided to join anti-enslavement groups, which are Prince Hall Mansions and African Methodist Episcopal Church. And with the writing of the first black newspaper, he published a pamphlet called The Appeal to the Colors. The meaning behind it was for slaves to rise against their slave owners. It created pessimism towards the Americans saying all men are free, which isn't true. If slavery was happening and sees them as objects and not true human beings, then the saying all men are free isn't fully correct. I have a quote right here from his pamphlet. Are the most deranged, wretched, and abject sets of beings that ever lived since the world began. the name and the form of slavery, while wretchedness and endless miseries were reserved, apparently involved to be poured out upon our fathers, ourselves, and our children. The greatest riches in all America has arisen from our blood and tears. They will drive us from our property and our homes. That all men are created equal, that their Creator endowed them with certain unalienable rights. His pamphlet made the abolishment have great inspiration on making other writings. For example, William Lloyd Garrison made The Liberator, being inspired from listening to his story in his writing. But sadly, he died after publishing the appeal. But there's been speculations back then on saying somebody might have killed him, but it doesn't say who killed him or anybody. And for a little bonus, we're also going to be talking about Harriet Jacobs. Harriet Jacobs was born into enslavement and was sexually harassed and abused by her owner, which in her teenage years she had to be giving birth. And after that, she refused to become the owner's concubine, so he sent her to the plantation farm. After that, she went into hiding for 7 years, and after went to the north, becoming a nursemaid in New York City.
What the?
Go sit down. I want you to teach me about Harriet Tubman.
Come on, man.
Go
I don't
on.
wanna.
Go on, little girl.
I don't want to.
Go on. Go sit down. I want to learn.
Threatened by the bearer of knowledge. He loves history, but you do too. You're watching this, so. How did black activists help abolish slavery? It's one of the biggest questions most of us have. The movement to end slavery wasn't about laws or political speeches. It was about real people risking their lives for freedom. Black activists played a crucial role in this fight. Many of them had experienced the horrors of slavery firsthand and used their courage and knowledge to make a difference. One important person that helped a lot of black people was Harriet Tubman. She was one of the most famous activists. She didn't just escape slavery herself. She also helped dozens of others find freedom. Although her actions have proved that she fights for freedom was not only necessary but possible. In her early life, Harriet Tubman was born into slavery in Dorchester County, Maryland in 1822. Life was unimaginably hard for her. She was forced to work at a young age in harsh environments and harsh punishments. As a teenager, she suffered a head injury when an overseer threw a heavy object at her. This caused severe headaches and faints that affected her for the rest of her life. Due to these challenges, through most of her life, it was devastating. But, despite the challenges, she remained strong and she kept dreaming of freedom, not just for herself, but freeing other people too. When Harriet Tubman escaped in 1849, Harriet Tubman made a bold decision that she would escape using the Underground Railroads, a secret network of safe houses. In 1849, Harriet Tubman made a decision that she would escape using the Underground Railroads, a secret network of safe houses and routes. She traveled to freedom in the north. But Harriet Tubman couldn't get enough. In 1849, she escaped slavery by using the Underground Railroads, a secret network of safe houses and routes, but Harriet didn't stop there. She risked her life many times, going back to the South to help others. Over 13 missions. She guided more than 70 slaves people to freedom. Because of her courage, many people called her Moses, like the dude in the Bible. That's all I know. Harriet was smart, brave, and had a strong faith, but her famous quote that showed that she was determined was, "I had reasoned this out of my mind. There was one of two things I had a right to, liberty or death. If I couldn't have one, I could have the other." During the war, Harriet worked for the Union Army as a spy, nurse, and scout. She even led during Harriet was smart, brave, and had a strong faith. One of her famous quotes showed how determined she was. "I had reasoned this out of my mind. There was one or two things I had a right to, liberty or death. If I couldn't have one, I could have the other." During the Civil War, Harriet worked for the Unions as a spy, nurse, and scout. She even led a raid during the Combahee River in South Carolina, freeing over 700 enslaved people in one mission. After the war, she kept fighting for justice. She helped newly freed African Americans, supporting women's right to vote, and started a home for the elderly people in Ambler, New York. Harriet Tubman's life showed the power of courage and kindness. She proved that one person can make a huge difference. And Harriet Tubman wasn't just a hero in time. She was a hero all the time. Well, that's pretty much the slowest, little minimalist summary I could give you. There isn't much. I could go on a rant, rabbit hole, whatever you want to call it. Well, that was the end. But hey, what are you doing in here? Get out! Get out! Get out of my house, please! So, I just woke up and I've been hearing stuff. I hear like stomping all over my house. I'm home alone. I hope so. The TV is on, cause you gotta have that background noise on. And I hope this isn't like some sandpaper like type of prank. That was the bear in my dream. I had a dream where I was explaining a really bad summary of Harriet Tubman. Very bad. And that bear held me at banana point. And like, I'm not joking. Look, he's real. I don't have this bear. This bear isn't mine. I don't have a bear. I don't have a bear. I don't have a bear. He's after me. I gotta get ready. That bear's after me. Come back.